How you guys doing? We are going over the Cup Series at Darlington now. As I said, second verse, same as the first. I mean, we're basically in week 3 of this. At this point, playing the same guys. Let's talk about Kansas. I wasn't able to do a review show this weekend. I was busy with other stuff. I do apologize, but this is where we were at. This is how I did my lines. Very similar. Same thing this weekend. Same thing at Darlington. Also, real quick. No right. We had no right winning as much money as we did. Look, man. Start of that race, I was like, all right, cool, man. We're golden. Right off the bat, Byron's got it, man. He's got the lead. He's perfectly fine. Then he gets loose, and, Fox missed it. I was like, all right, fuck, that's fine. Whatever. Larson took the lead, man. We got this, man. It's easy. It's clear. Why is Byron and Larson? Why are they not owned? They're like sub 20% ownership each. Man, the field are a bunch of idiots. And then Larson gets spun, and I'm like, oh fuck, dude. Dude, really? At least it was quick. At least it was over. 6 laps into the day, I knew I was done. So I took the NASCAR race off of this screen, moved it to this one. I took the F1 race and moved it to this screen, and I just chilled and mainly kept up with F1, tuning in here and there, keeping up with NASCAR with what's going on, but full just understanding. I was like, man, I just burned $400. I would have had way more fun walking into just an office building or a public area and just lighting 400 bills on fire and just watching people react. It was just going to be one of those days where I could have literally done anything but make NASCAR lines, and I would have made more money. But man, somehow, some way, those motherfuckers at Hendrick, because they have the best cars, couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe the luck. Couldn't believe it. I didn't even realize that Byron had sped on pit lane. That's how little I was paying attention to the race. I was just all in on F1, and sure as shit, I was still fucking wrong on that one too. I had 0 Max lineups. And when I was like, ain't no way Max is gonna do it. You gotta play fucking Logan Sargent in the captain. That ain't gonna fucking work. Didn't do it. Didn't have any Max. So anyway, Byron, right place, right time to get that lap back, to get the wave around. He was there, but hey, once he was there, even with the wall damage, had the fast car, had the car in speed, made it to top 5. Larson makes it through the field, has the best car. I don't know what else to tell people. Like, I don't know what's a better indication of where these cars are in terms of speed, in terms of where they are in the competition, in terms of where they are stacking up against their direct rivals of the top Joe Gibbs cars and Chastain than what we just saw at Kansas. Okay? Yes, Dirty Air is huge, specifically out of 2 and out of 4. You have to drive a different lane to the driver in front of you to get around. It was a very slow run. Larson doesn't get back in the top 10 until 160, 150 with around 100 laps left. He was gaining fast laps throughout, just running the pack, but he slowly, methodically gets there, Reddick, I also thought it was fucked because Reddick got up there too. Thank God we were right about Reddick being slow as fuck and not doing anything there. I thought I was really screwed. I just thought the day was gone. It's very rare that I'm like, we're not even 10 laps in this race and I have absolutely made a catastrophic mistake. Anyway, so who are we targeting this weekend at Darlington? Kyle Larson, William Byron, Truex, and Hamlin. Now, I probably could have done 20 lines here, and I probably could have done a better job of playing more Hamlin and Truex together. I think I only have 2 of those. Yeah, I only had 2 of them because I was just, all in on Byron and Larson and stuff, which is, the same thing here. Darlington, however, I will not be nearly this aggressive on 2 drivers, on Byron and Larson specifically, because Darlington has a lot of the V word. Variance. I couldn't think of it. Darlington has a lot of variance. We're going to have mechanical failures. We're going to have people get into the wall. We're going to have people spin out on restarts. And so Darlington is probably the most race between this month and next month, even moving up, probably up to Atlanta, that I would probably want to be capping myself at probably 40% on each driver, just because we can pretty much have anybody wreck at any time. That's just how it is. But same thing this weekend, okay? This week, you should primarily play Byron, Larson, Truex, and Hamlin, okay? Those should be your primary guys, regardless of where they start, regardless of now pit selection. I will, like, if they have a bad pit stall selection, if they fail going through tech, which is what cost Reddick. If you look at his pit stops every time, it's because he had a shitty pit stall. That's just how he is. He kept getting stuck in the pits behind slower cars when he was exiting pit lane. That's what cost him a lot of that stuff, pit lane. I'm telling you, man, people underestimate what pit lane means, you know? So Byron, Larson, Reddick, and Hamlin, those are your primary guys. That I would keep saying that this whole month. Play 3 of those guys. Try and get 3 of them in a line. Let me go and check the salary real fast. I know that they have it out. I just haven't even bothered looking because I already know who I'm playing. We are playing the same game each and every week here. Let's see. So Larson 10-9, Byron at 10-3. You better play a shitload of Byron, everybody. 10-3 Byron. Nobody's over 11. Playing 3 of these guys is going to be right around $5,800. Same thing as we've been dealing with. If you are now. I will admit, I didn't even show the bottom. This is where I was at, and it'll probably end up being the same guys here. I trust. Let me look at the salaries on this side here. Newman's 58. That's fucking insane. Wow, that's a L. Gillen 5.5, LaJoy 5.4, Burton 5.2. What the fuck are these, man? So it seems to me like we are going to primarily be playing LaJoy and Burton. And then going wherever you want from there. I'm not saying you have to play all that together, but those are probably the two best guys in the 5K range, just based on their upside. It's going to be a bit difficult to get to McDowell at 61, but you can very easily do that. Cindric at 59 is right where he probably should be. Dude, look at these points, man. -5, 12, 6, 0, 12, 0, -8, 37, 28, 12, 41, 5. I mean, that's what he should be priced at. So it's fun that we got somebody else in the 5K range. We're seeing Haley and AJ slowly getting moved out, which is, you know, I mean, that's good and bad. We were able to identify them. Now they're kind of getting pushed out of our ranges because, you know, I'm telling you, I mean, Haley has been absolutely killing. I don't know why people haven't been playing Haley either. I don't know what the fuck people are looking at. I just don't get it. I don't know what people are looking at. I'm baffled here. But entering this week, it is very much the same of playing 3 of those 4 guys that I mentioned. You're probably playing 2 5K guys, and then you're getting up to whoever you can, either in the 6K, if you're pivoting all the way down, which sucks that we lost the bottom of the salary. Pricing and lineups are probably going to be really tight this weekend. You know, BJ is at 49, Poole is at 51. It's honestly kind of bullshit. Ryan Newman is 58. He probably should have been 53. So if anything, I think we might be able to see more duplicated lineups this weekend, just because you're squeezing that salary even closer. We're losing the bottom end. If you've been doing like we have here and there and just playing, you know, Yaley, Balicki, you know, Poole in the low 4K ranges, you know, we are losing that. So it's moving everybody closer to the 5K range. And so, you know, probably the biggest mistake, or the place that I just didn't end up going to last weekend, was Stenhouse. Now, I mean, it was a clear miss because the fucker ran top 16 all day. I doubt anybody really projected him to do that. But, you know, that was unfortunate. I viewed it as arguing that you couldn't get to it. I mean, clearly, you know, Larson and Byron and their issues kind of forced to where Byron wasn't optimal. He didn't kill you. He certainly didn't kill you. But I think that allowed Stenhouse to get in those lineups because you weren't necessarily paying up for all those guys. And as I said, a lot of variance entering this weekend at Darlington. I mean, as I've been leaning more and more towards, I just don't even bother really looking at track history. I think, you know, just paying attention to what they've been doing, specifically in the next gen car. I mean, and understand that last year was a bit of a farce and stuff. You know, you got an idea of how people are going to perform, how these teams are going to perform last year, but really just focusing on how they're doing. Focus in on how they performed at Auto Club, how they performed at Vegas, how they performed at Kansas and Dover, and specifically Dover and Kansas, because those are where we're at. It's the same thing like Penske. What is up with these people talking about you got to play Penske? I just don't get it. Where are we seeing? Where are you getting that data from? What are you not seeing here, or what am I not seeing? Clearly, I think it's track history. I think it's people looking at track history, and I know somebody was like, oh, people didn't play Byron because he burned them at Martinsville. Okay, so you get burned each and every day playing whatever sport you're playing. Am I not playing Julius Randle because the sumbitch keeps getting fouls in the playoffs? No, of course not. You just got to keep playing him and hope that he can perform and actually get you there. And so entering this weekend's race at Darlington, I think honestly talking about drivers is honestly a bit of a waste of time. We've identified our 4 guys we want to target. I will die on that hill. Everybody knows that at that point. If you're playing those drivers, like we'll do the most expensive just for this kind of discussion here with Larson, Hamlin, and Truex, just to show where we're at. Larson at 10.9, Hamlin at 10.7, Truex at 10.5. Those 3 drivers on average leave you 59.66 for your remaining people. That is what we're building with, in my opinion. Okay, we're building 3 driver lineups. Okay, because whatever 3 of the 4 main guys you're using, that's who you're using. Okay, now if you want to get different and get to Kyle Busch, get to Chase Elliott, get to Chastain, get to Bell, whatever the case may be, you're still playing 2 10K guys, so it doesn't necessarily matter. It might not be like, this analogy might not be directly of like, only building 3 driver lineups, but like in the grand scheme of things, like, yeah, sure, you're picking your guys up top that you're getting to, but the lineups are being getting different with your remaining 3 drivers, okay? And granted, this is before, practice data and where these guys are qualifying, because that plays huge. Qualifying has really determined a lot of this stuff, and I think that's why people went to Gregson so much last weekend. Now, yet again, if you were running with Gregson, you run into some shitty luck late in the day. I just didn't want to chase that ownership, but they did find something. They weren't as slow as molasses as they had been, but it seems to me like people are playing up for place differential. I think that's what we're seeing. Specifically in the value range. And specifically in situations where we get rainouts and stuff, or we lose practice, which I don't think we're going to lose practice this weekend. But I imagine that whoever has the highest place differential possibility in this value range this weekend is probably going to be the highest owned driver. So we might want to, or I would advise to try and get off that. Maybe not fade them completely, but it's Darlington. You're going to have a lot of these guys get in the wall. You're going to have a lot of these guys get stupid. That's just how it is. Anyway, back to $5,900 left on average. I think it's very much a situation to where our realistic pool is probably from Buescher down to BJ. That's just how it is. It's going to be very difficult to get to anybody other than Buescher. Like Barry, Keselowski, Blaney. If you're paying up for 3 guys, those guys are kind of priced out of your area. If you're playing Wallace, which I mentioned Wallace again last week, I was very, very happy with analysis, projections, and everything last weekend, even with the whole fucking first half of the race looking like I was going to be, one of the biggest goofs out there. But if you're playing Bell, Harvick, Blaney, Keselowski, whatever the case may be, you are building that lineup specifically built around that driver, because I believe you're being priced out of that range. I think the highest we can get to this weekend is probably Buescher on average, okay? So, like, if you use Larson, Hamlin, Truex, Buescher, and this is more so talked about the salary cap that we're with and not necessarily those drivers, that leaves you with $5,100 on left over, okay? That'll leave you to, like, a BJ, and then, whoever you wanted to use, who you're kind of forced to use there. Not necessarily saying that line's going to work. I'm explaining that, like, Buescher is, like, the highest end guy that you can get to. So, if we're not in the 8K range that much, and Buescher's 76, we're most likely choosing between Briscoe Jones, Dylan Priest, AJ Haley, Almirola, McDowell, Cindric, Gregson, Gillen, LaJoie, and Burton, okay? So, when we're in this situation, we're most likely going to have Gregson, Gillen, Harrison, Burton, probably Cindric, and Newman, as your guys in the back that aren't going to show much speed, that you're hoping that they get through there with attrition. Because LaJoie has had true speed. Okay, I don't know what is causing DraftKings to not price him up just a little bit more. Like, realistically, LaJoie should be a 6K driver. Due to that, I like LaJoie the best, just because he's had the best speed out of these guys. We're probably going to see ownership continue to go LaJoie's way. So that's kind of why I like, hey, Burton makes a lot of sense. Gillen makes a lot of sense. Whatever happened to the Todd Squad guys? Everybody just forgot Gillen's here, I guess. But we're seeing real speed increases from AJ and from Justin Haley. I mean, these are really, really good speed. They're qualifying really horrible. They have really, really good race speed. The fact that I think you could very easily, depending on who you're using, get to one of the colleague cars. And if you can get to 2 colleague cars, you're probably giving up a 10K guy. But like if you like Reddick, if you like Elliott, if you like Chastain, I would probably consider trying to get to more of the 6K guys, specifically Haley and specifically AJ, due to what they have. Almirola has been really consistent, really good. I understand he finished 24th at Dover, but showed us great speed at Kansas. And Dover's a bit of a bit of a shell shock situation to where, it's the first race back after all the short tracks. They might not be there all the way. Those teams, like they're kind of catching up. They might be testing something out. It doesn't work. I think Eric Almirola and Stuart Haas is a great example. They kind of arrived at Dover pretty slow, but they knew exactly what they were missing or what they, wanted to improve on, because, they were able to like, hey, this didn't work at Dover. Let's at least acknowledge our other, research that we did over the past like 2 months since we've been at intermediate track. Eric Almirola makes a lot of sense if you're, anyway, long story short, I want to try and get to at least one 6K guy in my lines if I can manage. And I think it should be pretty easy, and those drivers should be Haley, Almirola, McDowell, and AJ. I want to try and get one of those 4 guys in each line. I think that's just kind of how I want to go about it, if not 2 of those guys. I think McDowell is, and I think at this point, I mean, I might just be fucking wrong on this guy. I've never been able to pin him down and stuff. It is a shame that he finished 22nd at Dover and 26th at Kansas. Hopefully we can see some speed from him in practice, or at least some place differential to get us there. But it seems to me like people just aren't playing McDowell. Anyway, am I just rambling here? I mean, if you're following along and you're looking at the salary the same way I am, yet again, it's not necessarily based on what this driver is. It's more just based on whatever the projections are when post qualifying, when the grid comes out and stuff. So I think honestly, just looking at other stuff or really looking at different data points or analyzing past track history, like we should all know that. That's like prerequisites to look at any given slate. That you should be aware of that stuff. Anyway, you should be aware that Chase Elliott has been fantastic as of late here. Larson's been good. Truex has been good. That stuff we should all know. That shouldn't be a focus of your data point. I think data should be these past 2 weeks, and focus primarily on there if you're in the value range, and look at how the 2 guys, look at how somebody's done at Dover and Kansas, and then look at how he's doing in practice this weekend, and use that to determine who you're going with in the value range. That's really where I'm at, and that's where I think you should be at. That's how I think you should be building lines. And man, even when we got I can't believe it, man. I can't believe I had all but 1 line cash, maybe all but 2. I don't remember. I couldn't believe it, man. Larson and Byron are so fucking fast. It is insane, dude. I don't know why Larson and Byron aren't being played, man. Those fucks should be like 30% owned. It makes no sense, dude. I swear to God, if I see them at like 27, 25, 23, 22 again, I mean, I'm convinced people don't know how to play NASCAR DFS. And like Logano, I know people are going to play Logano. I'm playing 0 Logano. I have 0 interest unless he shows up and he's killing the field. He's got to have one of the top 5 quickest cars in practice, and the sumbitch has to qualify first for me to even consider Logano. Outside of that, you shouldn't even bother with Logano. Don't play Blaney. I mean, it's. I mean, there's just so many guys that I just don't see a reason to play them. Anyway, there's that. If you want to support me, support what I do, you can always tune in the live shows. You can always send super chats there. You can join the Patreon, give my projections, and talk to me on Discord and things like that. Or you can just send some tips through the PayPal link in the description below. Either way, best of luck. I'll see you guys Sunday. And yeah, we're at Darlington. It's the same. You play the same guys this whole month of May until we get to North Wilkesboro. But yeah, till then, see you guys later. Have a good day.